Hello, I'm Hannah, and this is Hannah's Books. August is a month full of personal celebrations for me and for my family. They are celebrations, but they're all tinged with some sadness and some fear. Nevertheless, it is amazingly wonderful that all 3 anniversaries happened this year, and we definitely celebrated each one. The last of the 3, and perhaps the biggest, is one we plan to celebrate a bit more next week. The first celebration. At the beginning of the month, I celebrated the 3rd anniversary of mastectomy surgery following a breast cancer diagnosis. I had a kind of cancer that was very aggressive, but not extremely advanced, not metastatic. The rate of recurrence for the kind of breast cancer I was diagnosed with is higher than the recurrence rate for other forms of breast cancer, and recurrences tend to happen relatively soon after diagnosis. The chance of longer-term survival increases significantly if a patient hasn't been diagnosed with recurrence after 3 years. So this particular anniversary was a significant one for me. The chance of recurrence after 5 years have passed goes down much more, so much that patients are almost at the same risk of women who've never had breast cancer at all. Of course, the risk that all women face is still kind of high. 1 in 8 is a number commonly used, but still, it's definitely an anniversary worthy of serious celebration. Although after the surgery I still had months of some pretty rough chemotherapy ahead of me, I choose to celebrate this anniversary because on that day my surgeon believed she had removed every bit of the masses in my breasts. The goal of chemotherapy was to kill any rogue cancer cells traveling around my body still, cells that had not yet formed masses, enough to be seen on any scans. That day of surgery, though, I could officially use one of the labels some cancer patients have come up with. I could say I had no evidence of residual disease. That is, I became a nerd. I admit that most people would have told you that I was already a nerd beforehand. Well, the second celebration we had is perhaps sadder, but far more meaningful as well. 2 years ago, when I was celebrating my 1-year anniversary of nerddom, my husband David was diagnosed with glioblastoma, a terminal brain cancer that has an average prognosis of something like 14 months. He had immediate surgery, then many days of brain radiation, and then a long period of chemotherapy. And with enormous joy, I can tell you that his very regular MRI scans continue to come back looking really good. The number of patients with this kind of tumor who are still alive after 2 years is often estimated to be about 5%. And David's not only still alive, but has not had recurrence. We know that people do not survive this diagnosis, and that is heartbreaking. But it's been an incredible gift to have this extra time with him. And the third celebration of the month. A couple of days ago, the 2 of us celebrated a very special wedding anniversary, our 25th. It really wasn't a day we thought we'd be able to celebrate together. Starting with our first paper anniversary, David's given me interesting gifts every year, following those rules of anniversary giving. More on that in a minute. 2 years ago, he ordered my present from his hospital bed, the night before his brain surgery. Given our family's love of tea, I can't imagine anything more perfect than his gift to me. A Moroccan tea tray and lovely tea glasses, which both match the silver plate theme. In the days after his surgery, David didn't have use of one of his legs, so I pushed him around in a wheelchair. Early in the day, we went downstairs to the hospital atrium, where a couple of friends came to celebrate with us. They came bearing bagels and lox, fruit, sweet treats, games, books, even superhero socks. Then, after David had a nap, a musician friend who has been a tremendous mentor to our son, as well as a kind and gentle friend to David and to me, brought music and wonderful conversation. When we arrived back at the room, the nurses on our wing came in with cake and smiles to help us celebrate even more. We both felt so cared for by that whole team. I cried a lot, trying not to show it to David, who by the end of the day started being able to move his big toe a little bit. Within a few more days, he had increasing movement, and within a few weeks, he could walk on his own. He still has some weakness. It isn't exactly weakness, but an inability to fully control parts of his legs, but it's far less significant than we thought it might be. So I mentioned those rules of wedding anniversary present giving. Starting with our very first anniversary, David has found creative presents for me based on the traditional anniversary gifts associated with the years. Year 1 was paper, year 2 cotton, etc. The first year, I thought it was absolutely charming. After that first year, I thought following the list was a little corny. And then, after about the 5th anniversary, I absolutely loved his tradition. It's a job he takes seriously. As I mentioned, he even acquired a theme-matching present for us from his hospital bed the night before his surgery. Last year, after we celebrated our 24th anniversary for a while, and David gave me a 24th anniversary appropriate gift, he presented me with another box, this one wrapped in silver paper. It was my 25th anniversary present, even though we still had a year to go. He said he'd been thinking about our silver anniversary for so many years that he couldn't imagine not getting me a present. He offered me the choice of putting the unopened box away and hoping we could open it together in a year, or opening it right then when we knew we would be together. I knew that the chance of David surviving until our next anniversary was awfully small, so I chose to open the box. Through my tears, I saw a stunning antique necklace from Yemen. He explained that the necklace was called a hers, and that it was made by Jewish silversmiths to be worn by Muslim and Bedouin new brides. When I was a bride standing under the huppah, and then in the room where we observed Yehud, a few minutes alone together between wedding and reception, I couldn't stop smiling. David, on the other hand, couldn't stop crying. He assured me that his tears were a sign of intense and meaningful joy. My tears the night of our 24th anniversary were more complicated. My assumption that we had decades left together had been severely shaken, really over the last 3 years since my own diagnosis. But just like David's tears 25 years ago, my tears that night and this year are also deep love and joy. On our anniversary last year, David pulled up a playlist of musicians and songs we've long loved, from Anita Baker and Sade to the more recent Old Crow Medicine Show. We started slow dancing. When Brown Eyed Girl came on, we immediately broke into our old replacement lines, Four-Eyed Boy and Four-Eyed Girl, lyrics we often signed to each other in ASL as we danced together. Abe filmed us dancing, and I'll try to insert a clip at the end. I am so grateful to have this footage of us together, and I know I will cry over it many times in the future. Next to that box wrapped in silver paper was a DVD. David, with the help of some wonderful friends, took the video recording of our wedding and had it digitized. In my head, I often play through memories of that evening, but we hadn't seen the real thing in years. This year, on the real night of our 25th anniversary, our family was quite busy and pretty preoccupied. We did do a preliminary celebration with pizza and champagne, the exact quirky way we've celebrated many times in our lives together. And we had great conversations with our son and his girlfriend. But we still have some more celebrating to do. One night soon, a night I am sure will be filled with many more tears from both of us. I'll make a nice dinner, and we'll get all dressed up. I'll put on this stunning necklace. We'll watch the video. And maybe we'll make a little cake, frosted in wedding white icing, and relive some of those early days together when all still lay before us.